Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome here to the Launchpad and our live launch coverage of Starlink 4-14. You're looking at a live view of the Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station weather stations data over the last few hours. We've been monitoring the wind conditions down at Cape Canaveral as the first instantaneous launch window that SpaceX was targeting. The winds were red, but about 30-40 minutes ago, we saw that weather board turn green, and there you can see it on your screen right now. Full greens across the board, specifically for the CCSFS, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Strong winds are now green, which is great to see. As always, here at the Launchpad, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together, and it's great to have you all joining us here today. If you're new, let us know in the chat, but as always, we want to see where everyone's tuning in from, so let us know in the chat where you're watching from. We're expecting SpaceX to get underway here in just a couple of minutes time. We're going to run through everything we know about today's mission, as always, to get started, but we're super excited to have our TLP rocket chasers down on site. We've got Marcus at the Kennedy Space Center Center 5 Center. We've got Ty over at the jetty in Cape Canaveral port area, and we've got Nick, our newest rocket chaser, actually at the U.S. press site. If you haven't followed us over on Twitter, definitely do so. Nick has been hanging out at NASA pretty much all day and actually just left the vehicle assembly building from getting a visit there. So definitely check us out over on Twitter. We got a few photos, but more photos coming in the near future from in there that we're so excited to share with you as we continue to take TLP just to that next level. If you're interested in joining our team, head over to tlpnetwork.com/join our team. We've got our moderators, our photographers, our videographers, and our contributor applications open, and maybe you can become a rocket chaser with us. But you're here for Starlink 4-14, so let's get right into it. This is the 12th launch into the 4th shell of the Starlink constellation. Today's rocket is a Falcon 9 Block 5 booster 1060, going for its 12th flight. It's got a 49-day turnaround. We're launching from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station out at Slick 40, launching 53 more Starlink satellites into orbit. We've got just read the instructions with the support ship Bob deployed 629 kilometers downrange for that 12th attempt recovery of the booster. And the fairing halves are going to be scooped out of the water by the support ship Bob, about 648 kilometers downrange. As we said, the weather officially was 70% go for launch, but we've seen the winds pretty much all day. They're very high right now, but they have gone into the green zone as of the last weather update, so they are monitoring those very closely. This is going to be the 15th launch for SpaceX in 2022, continuing their cadence of pretty much one launch every week of the year, and continuing towards that goal of 50 to 60 launches this year. In total, if today's mission is successful, SpaceX will have launched 2,388 Starlink satellites, with 2,156 still in orbit, and we're about halfway through the total number of launches required to complete the 4th shell, with an estimated 30 launches required. If you're just joining us, though, welcome here to the Launchpad, our live launch coverage of Starlink 4-14. We have had confirmation from SpaceX that the launch director has pulled go for propellant load, and that has begun, and they are continuing through that launch sequence as the weather and the winds are now green. Everything else for it has been good. The lightning's been clear. There's no rain to worry about, and they're progressing through today's launch countdown as we're coming down to T-minus 20 minutes and counting. Next up, we expect second stage LOX loading to get underway in about 3-4 minutes from now, and we should have a live view of the pad from SpaceX shortly thereafter. Michael, Florida is as good as its history of bad weather mornings that clear up by the afternoon. Very true. And then in the afternoon, you get microstorms. So it's a fun location to launch from, but great to see that they are going for an attempt here today. For the first time in many, many, many years, though, we have technically 4 rockets vertical on the Space Coast. We have the SLS at pad 39B. We've got a Falcon 9 with a Crew Dragon at 39A. We've got today's Falcon 9 at Slick 40, and at Slick 41 we actually have the booster section the main stage section of the ULA Atlas V that will be attempting to launch the Starliner on its orbital flight test 2 next month. So 3.5 rockets are vertical right now at the NASA Kennedy and Cape Canaveral Space Centers, and we're really entering this next era of space exploration. On screen, we're cycling through just some of the weather data. We're getting live telemetry from Cape Canaveral and Kennedy on how the winds are progressing, but we're seeing that strong winds remaining green. The purple on your screen there is saying that they are observing steady state winds at 18 kT, which means it is a condition they're watching. It is an kind of an orange zone if you were coloring it that way, but it is not something that would hold them from scrubbing. We do have the mission control patched in, so if we do hear any updates on the propellant load, that will come through on our network as well. As always, if you guys have questions, let us know in the chat. You can send those in tagging us at the Launchpad, and we'll be answering those live throughout today's launch. As today's a Starlink mission, we do expect SpaceX to continue with coverage, at least of the tracking of the Starlink. Today's deployment expected 59 minutes, 49 seconds into flight, with the landing of the booster expected 8 minutes, 23 seconds into flight. So make sure you're staying with us for both of that. We will stay live through the entire Starlink satellite deployment. Paul's weather seems to be causing major problems recently. It's the time of year. We are in that shift of season where we see some more weather occur, and then we go into the hurricane season. But it's just one of those things living on the coast, especially a ocean's coast. You see a lot of the difference in the weather there, with the patterns coming off from the north, the south, and the east, all kind of colliding at Kennedy's region. So they do have to watch for it. These rockets do have quite a tolerance for wind and weather, so they are going to be able to go there. Great question from Jessica. What's going on with the launch pod? We've been moving it around, changing it a little bit, figuring it out. And then one week there was the Tesla event. Another week one of us was sick. So launch pod will be coming back. Make sure you stay tuned for that. We're excited to resume that podcast most likely every other week. We're thinking we're going to do it. So stay tuned. We'll be tweeting some updates about that in the near future. We are hearing from the ground that at the L-20 minute mark, there was a large vent of vapors coming from the Falcon 9. So we'll wait for some more updates from there. Nick's getting set up on site. Bob Brink, thank you so much for becoming a civilian astronaut. We appreciate your support so much. If you are in the Discord, if you could DM me or one of the other mods, just let them know and send them a screenshot of that. We can upgrade your role on the Discord to make sure that you can get that access. Thank you so much. Patricia saying Lakeland, Florida, too cloudy to see as of right now. There definitely are some clouds in the region there.
Stage
but
2
if you're
launch load has started.
And there we go. So second stage LOX loading has begun. That's a confirmation there from SpaceX's mission control audio as they continue. We do expect SpaceX to begin their live video feed here in about 5 minutes, and that's when we'll patch that in. We are working to have our own cameras on site and working with SpaceX and NASA to confirm that access. So we hope to have those live views for you in the near future. If you're just joining us, though, take a moment, let us know where you're watching from. And if you have questions, you can continue sending those in the chat by tagging us at the Launchpad. As we said, we've got Marcus down at the Saturn V Center at NASA Kennedy Space Center. We've got Ty over at the Jetty at Port Canaveral. And we have Nick actually at the NASA Kennedy Space Center press site, who's setting up to document today's launch. And we're actually going to go off, and if you head over to our Twitter, you'll be able to see a photo from Nick actually at the press site with a great clear shot over to Slick 40. And to those just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. You're joining us for our live launch coverage of SpaceX Starlink 4-14. Liftoff expected in 10 minutes from now. As we reach T-minus 10 minutes, we are awaiting SpaceX to begin their live view here. So we're waiting for that to get underway. And we are working on patching in a live feed here as well. So stay with us here. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. Just tag us at the launch pad, and we will be working on answering those throughout this morning. Expected time for deployment, 1 hour, about 59 minutes after liftoff. SpaceX is getting started here, so we're going to work on patching them in here.
In to the 43rd launch of Starlink. Today, we'll be sending another 53 Starlink satellites to low Earth orbit from Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, just under 7 minutes from now. My name is Kate Tice, and I'm a Quality Engineering Manager here at SpaceX, and I'll be your host for today's mission.
Startup engine chill.
As you may know, Starlink is a constellation of satellites operating in low Earth orbit and provides high-speed, low-latency internet to places all over the globe. particularly in remote areas where connectivity is limited or completely unavailable. Starlink is now live in the Caribbean, which brings us to servicing 33 total global markets. If you're interested in seeing all the areas where Starlink service is available, check out our availability map at starlink.com/map, which you see right there. The green shows you where service is available today and where there's a wait list, and
Stage
the gray
1, RP1 load is complete.
And the gray shows you where service is pending. Today's launch gets us one step closer to adding even more green to that map. We've got one of our shorter webcasts today with live coverage ending just after the first stage landing and second engine cutoff. But as always, we will confirm deployment of our Starlink satellites via SpaceX's social channels. Now, as most of you are aware, what makes Falcon 9 really unique is that it's currently the only orbital-class rocket capable of flying over and over again. SpaceX has reflown first stages since 2017 and fairing halves since 2019. Now, as you can see on your screen there, this rocket has soot markings on it, indicating that this booster has flown before. Today will mark its 12th flight, having previously launched GPS-33, Turksat 5A, Transporter 2, and 8 Starlink missions. We'll be attempting to recover this booster again on our drone ship, which you see there, although a little rainy. Just read the instructions. It's currently parked a couple hundred miles off the coast of Florida in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, the first stage's objective...
Falcon 9 tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
First stage's objective is to accelerate the vehicle through the Earth's atmosphere to space with the help of its 9 Merlin engines, and then separate from the rest of the rocket and return to Earth for landing. While the first stage returns to Earth, the second stage will continue on its journey, igniting its single...
Strong back retract has started.
All right, so there we heard call out that the strong back retraction has begun. If you watch closely on your screen, you should be able to see it there. So the second stage will ignite its single engine, which is optimized for the vacuum of space. The second stage is what will carry the 53 Starlink satellites to their destination in low Earth orbit. Now, speaking of our satellites, they're safely enclosed inside that large barrel structure with the pointed nose at the very top of the rocket. We refer to that as the payload fairing. The job of the fairing is to protect our cargo during ascent until the vehicle is outside the Earth's atmosphere, at which point the fairing separates to expose the satellites to the vacuum of space. Once separated, the fairing halves will fall back to Earth for recovery and future reuse. Now, that structure there that you see it's retracting slightly away from the vehicle, that is the strong back, which is part of the transporter erector, or TE. We use it to roll the rocket out from the hangar to the pad and raise it to its vertical launch position. The TE also routes the vehicle's fluids, powers, and telemetry umbilicals from the ground systems to the rocket and satellites until Falcon 9 goes on internal power and clears the pad. So we just saw that strong back open its clamp arms and retract. Now at T0, hydraulics will pull that strong back even further away from Falcon 9.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
As it lifts off from the pad. So there we just heard the call out that LOX load is complete on the first stage. LOX load is still undergoing for the second stage. Now, as many of you know, SpaceX and NASA have worked together for many years to put both cargo and people into space. And this week, NASA announced another opportunity for our teams to work together. SpaceX was selected by NASA for the Communications Services Project to demonstrate high-throughput, low-latency data relay services for NASA programs. We'll leverage our technology, such as space lasers, to provide NASA with big improvements in connectivity and throughput for space-based assets. This could in turn help NASA transition from their current in-space communication system, known as TDRS, to a more commercial option, so stay tuned for more on that. So we're just about 2 minutes left to go until liftoff, and Falcon 9 is moving into the final stages of the countdown. Expecting to hear the call for second stage LOX load completion. At this point, Falcon 9 is fully loaded with its fuel, which is RP1, or Rocket Propellant 1. First stage is fully loaded.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
All right, so first stage is fully loaded, as well as second stage fully loaded with its liquid oxygen. So there we have a shot of the...
Gas closeouts has started.
So there we can see a shot, beautiful view of pad 40. And we can see that white cloud is forming around the vehicle. That's totally normal. Now that LOX load has completed, the excess liquid oxygen is now venting from the lines that we use to complete that propellant loading.
And as we get down to T-minus 1 minute and counting, let's see that go, no go in the chat as usual. As we come down past that T-minus 1 minute mark, just a reminder, in the top right corner, that's a live view from Jetty Park at Port Canaveral. That is going to be ahead of the SpaceX feed. We'll have a live tracking shot there thanks to our rocket chaser Ty, who's on site. We also have Marcus at the Saturn V Center and Nick over at the press site covering this from all angles today. Excited to have our team there, but looks like we're go in the chat and we're listening in for go from the launch director.
At this point in time, the
T-minus 30 seconds.
The weather is looking to cooperate. The range remains green, ready to support. And the teams are tracking no issues. So at this point, all systems are go for launch. Let's watch as Falcon 9 takes our 53 Starlink satellites into
seconds.
orbit.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff of Starlink 414. Vehicle's pitching downrange. M1D chamber pressure is nominal.
As you can see on your screen and heard by the cheers of folks with me here at Mission Control, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40, carrying our 53 Starlink satellites. Although at liftoff, gravity is pulling straight down on the rocket, as we ascend, we actually tilt the engines. The technical term for that is gimbaling for all my rocket nerds out there. And that actually turns the rocket horizontally.
Falcon is supersonic.
So we're still going up, but with that gimbaling, we're now also heading horizontally away from the launch pad. That's what we call a gravity turn. Now we're going...
Max Q.
There we heard the call out for max Q. That's the point in which the vehicle experiences the greatest dynamic pressure. So we're going to throttle those engines back up. And we're coming up to a series of events that will happen in quick succession. For those of you that have followed our launches previously, you know not to blink. The first of those three events is...
Start of MVAC engine chill.
All right, so we heard call out MVAC engine chill. We're basically flowing some of the super chilled liquid oxygen through the turbopumps of the second stage MVAC engine in preparation for its ignition. But first, we have to do MECO, or main engine cutoff. That's where all 9 Merlin engines shut off to slow the vehicle down in preparation for the next milestone, which is stage separation, where the first stage and second stage will separate. As the first stage makes its way back to Earth for landing, the second stage continues its journey with SES-1, or second engine startup. This is where the single Merlin vacuum engine will ignite and propel the second stage along with the Starlink satellites to orbit. A view there inside our inner stage.
Main engine cutoff. Stage separation confirmed. MVAC ignition.
All right, so all 3 of those events in quick succession.
Bearing separation confirmed.
And there we can see that the fairing halves have separated, exposing our Starlink satellites to the vacuum of space. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see those grid fins deploying on the first stage.
Both stages are on nominal trajectories.
All right, great news there. Everything looking nominal for both the first and second stage. Now, while the second stage is doing its job, The first stage is actually coming back home to Earth, and it will execute 2 burns today. The first burn is the entry burn. We will ignite 3 of its engines, 3 of the 9 Merlin engines at the bottom of the first stage to help slow the stage down. The second burn is the landing burn, and that's where we ignite 1 engine, just the center engine, that will bring the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to land on our drone ship. Just read the instructions. That drone ship is about the size of a football field. Everything continues to look nominal
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda.
for both first and second stage. Beautiful shot of the second stage MVAC engine there on the right-hand side of your screen, with the beautiful blue marble rotating slowly behind it. Now that first stage, as you can see, is beginning to basically float its way back to Earth. It's currently above the Earth's atmosphere. In order to help it make its way back through the Earth's atmosphere, we're going to perform a re-entry burn. Not currently visible from that view, we have landing legs stowed on the side of the booster. Falcon 9 is equipped with 4 landing legs made of carbon fiber aluminum honeycomb. They're placed symmetrically at the base of the rocket and stowed during ascent, and they will deploy just prior to landing. As we come up to the entry burn, a reminder, this is a 3-engine burn meant to slow the first stage as it hits the thicker layers of the Earth's atmosphere. As you can see, Falcon 9 has grid fins on it. It's equipped with 4 hypersonic grid fins. They're positioned near the top of the first stage and near the base of the inner stage, so basically where those 2 pieces of hardware connect. Currently, the first stage is using its grid fins for steering as it makes its return to Earth. If you watch closely, you can see those grid fins
Stage 2
actuate.
trajectory continues to look nominal.
Those grid fins help orient the rocket during re-entry and guide the rocket during descent. There we just saw a puff of gas. That is just nitrogen gas. We use nitrogen gas bursts for attitude control on the first stage.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
So we can see the first stage has
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
begun its entry burn. We have reignited 3 of the 9 Merlin engines to help slow the booster down as it re-enters the thick part of the Earth's atmosphere. This burn will last about 20 seconds. Everything continues to look nominal for second stage. We can see that that entry burn has
Stage
concluded
1
for
entry
first
burn
stage.
shut down.
Again, that white gas that you see coming from the booster are the nitrogen gas bursts that we use for attitude control. As I previously mentioned, you were able to see the soot markings on this booster left over from its previous flights, its previous 11 flights. This is the 12th flight for this booster.
Stage 1 trajectory nominal.
The rocket-grade kerosene, or RP1, that we use as fuel for Falcon 9 is carbon-based. So when the fuel burns, it generates soot. Because the reentry occurs with engines first, the booster actually flies through its own plume, which deposits that soot onto the side of the rocket. So
Stage 1 transonic.
be sure to check out the feed from the onboard camera. During landing, you may be able to see that soot sticking to the lens. When we light the center engine for the landing burn, we gimbal that engine also to help guide the stage, in addition to the grid fins. So there we can see that booster making a re-entry through the clouds now. Everything continues to look nominal with second stage
Stage 1
there.
landing burn. Stage 2 terminal guidance.
All right, we heard the call out, and you can see there on screen the landing burn has begun. Watch closely, we should be able to see the drone ship come into view. This drone ship is about the size of a football field.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
booster has
Stage 1
touched
landing
down
confirmed.
once again. This is the 12th recovery for this particular booster.
Stage 2 FDS is safe.
This recovery also marks the 115th recovery of a first stage booster. Gorgeous shot of that booster on our drone ship. Just read the instructions. Up next will be second engine cutoff,
Second engine cut off.
which we
Expected
saw
loss of
just
signal.
there.
Cape.
At this point in time, we are waiting to hear confirmation of good orbit for our second stage now that the second engine, that
Nominal
Merlin.
parking orbit.
All right, and there's that confirmation that we were waiting to hear. So with that confirmation of a successful second engine cutoff and good orbit, we'll be ending our webcast for today's launch.
They're going to be ending their webcast, but we're going to be staying live and tracking the deployment, as they do generally keep their live feed available for those interested on their second net. So we'll be pulling that up here. But you can see there, coming up T plus 10 minutes into flight, another successful launch and second stage deployment into parking orbit from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. There's a live view of telemetry of that second stage continuing to make its way around on its journey. We're expecting to see second stage have its burn occur at T plus 45 minutes, 25 seconds into flight. It's going to be a very quick 1 second burn, followed by deployment at 59 minutes, 49 seconds into flight. Another successful launch. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. Take us at the launch pad. We're going to be answering those live. Also, head on over, check out our shop. As always, it's launch day, which means you can get 10% off everything in the shop using promo code LAUNCHDAY. Also, if you haven't yet, follow us over on Twitter. We're live tweeting pictures and updates from today's event, but also from the NASA social at the NASA Kennedy Space Center, where we've got Nick on location. So stay tuned to some exciting stuff coming from there. If you guys are interested in possibly joining our team, you can head over to tlpnetwork.com/join our team. We do have our applications open and excited to welcome some of you onto the TLP crew. Heather, will we see deployment? Unfortunately, sounds like they're not going to show it today, which is odd for a Starlink mission. We do normally see them, or at least they stay live for it. They are going to keep this telemetry live. It sounds like because of when they're going to deploy it, they're not going to have coverage, so they're not going to be having a video camera feed live to show it anyways. They'll actually get confirmation after a certain amount of time. So deployment will occur kind of like over the middle of an ocean. But we will stay live at least until when deployment should have occurred to answer your guys' questions. Thanks so much, Fat Thor. Appreciate it. Justin, next launch, we've got a bunch of launches coming up, but a number of them we can't really plan. We do have There and Back Again, Electron's first ever helicopter recovery attempt, expected to take place in 1 day, 4.5 hours from now. We have the Falcon 9 Crew 4 launch, now expected to take place on the 26th of April, but that keeps slipping depending on how AX1 return goes. So that's targeting next Tuesday, which is also supposed to be rollback day for SLS. So we're seeing who will win that. We've got Starlink 4-16 expected on the 30th approximately of this month. So lots of missions coming up. So make sure you've hit that subscribe button and have that bell turned on to get notified. Also join us over on Discord. We are in live comms. We're going to be hanging out in there after the stream, and even just as we wait for deployment, hanging out, talking space, and love to see you there. It's completely free to do so. If you'd like to help support us in what we do, you can hit that join button, become a TLP member. Starts at $1.99, and that gets you behind the scenes access and different things like that, but helps us budget so we can have our teams have the best possible equipment to bring you guys the best possible coverage of everything space. That's okay, Andy. Sometimes those are the best questions. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Justin, we're really excited for Electron. We will, of course, be live for that. AX1 is targeting splashdown on Sunday. You're correct there, Michael.
signal, Newton length. Next pass will be dynamic. Acquisition of signal of good Hilliard. Expected loss of signal. Good heli. Acquisition of signal faulty. Acquisition of signal, Diego Garcia.
engine chill.
Alright, let's bring that beat back.
Back ignition. And back shutdown. Nominal payload deploy orbit.
hypnotized.
Acquisition of signal, Tasmania.
Starlink separation confirmed.